Hello, afternoon, and welcome. This is the Core Values to Success panel. So welcome everyone who's joining us here on campus and to those of you who are joining online. My name is Jennie Jarvis, and I'm a course director in the Film Production Master's Program. If everyone could please put your hands together and help me welcome our wonderful panelists. We have here Tremaine Williams, Aaron Cook, and Sheena Fowler.
Hi.
All right, and today we are talking about core values to success. So in the 2017 Netflix documentary called Feel Rich, Common, the award-winning hip-hop recording artist and actor, said, "The results you want to see in your life, the success you want to see through your work, it starts with who you are and how you feel about yourself." So basically, having well-defined core values. So to start us off, I actually want to throw to Aaron. Aaron, you were the one who first proposed having this panel here at Hall of Fame, and I think it's a brilliant idea. But would you like to just kind of let us know why is it that you thought that this was kind of the topic that you really wanted to kind of bring to Hall of Fame and share with our students?
Yeah, so is my mic on? Yeah, okay, I'm good. So for me, it's kind of a personal thing. So when I was in the Air Force, I had my captain tell me once, like, you either pick your values or someone will pick them for you. We had a lot of lengthy conversations about how to define what's important and how to really hone in on things that will set you up for success. So for me, it became, and I feel like this is probably universal, but I mean, I could totally be wrong, is that it's really about focusing on things that are intrinsic, and don't be the guy who wants, or girl who wants to, I want to be better than that person, because you're measuring yourself against something that you have no control over. Measure yourself against yourself.
So looking at comparing your insides to other people's outsides is just not a great way of going.
Right, so one of my core values is integrity. Like, I have control over that. I can recognize when I'm not being a person of integrity, and I can call myself out on it and be like, you know what? You're fucking up. And then I can fix that.
Right. And so
Oh yeah, can I swear? Is that cool?
You did. It is now.
It's happening.
Tremaine and Sheena, so what about you guys? What do you feel? Why were you so excited about being a part of this panel and kind of talking about core values? And what are some of the core values that are important to you?
It's similar to what he said of you determine like what success is to you, and not trying to match other people. Like, that's my biggest thing, especially in the music industry in the age of social media. All you see is the bright side of other people's lives, and you're constantly chasing that versus just making yourself happy. So I want to speak more to that.
Yeah, I think the pace at which life moves, if you don't define it, like you said, you get lost really quick. And I think the core values that you pick are going to have to be something that evolve. It's like a working document. It's always going to change. But if you have something that you come back to and you can point to and say, here's my reality check, this is who I am, all of that evolution really will take place in the path that you want it to. I think I've gone through a lot. I just had 2 children. It's like, who am I? What am I doing?
That's a good way of exploding your identity and recreating
it.
Yeah.
Like you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? Am I still the same person? And I had to go back, and I didn't even know that I had core values until we started talking about this. And it occurred to me that trying to go back to my roots and figure out why I was creative in the first place. And I used to be a writer, and how do I get back to that? And I found who I am. And just that little reality check is something that's really important to keep as you keep growing and evolving throughout life.
Okay. So, Aaron, you had said that integrity is one of the core values that really speaks to you. What other ones do you feel like are really kind of a part of your identity and help define you?
Yeah, so I have, I've got 4, and it's just integrity first, service before self, excellence in all I do. And that doesn't mean doing a great job. It means doing the best job I'm capable of, and then learning as much as I can. And so, the service before self is focusing on, like, I don't care if it's inconvenient for me, if it's good for everybody at large. And, taking the time to do stuff for my team, and to take care of them, because, without them, I can't make a game. Like, I'm just a glorified project manager. And then with the learning as much as I can, that's not like sitting down and reading a book. That's part of it, but just, taking the time to assume that I don't know everything and to really focus on, like, this person probably knows more about me at something, and I can learn from all of these people that I interact with. Yeah.
Sheena?
Yeah, humility is really one that I have to always keep in mind. And a long time ago, someone told me, you have to look at the better benefit of the whole. And when you start to do that, ego is something that creeps in real quick, when you're working, and it's easy
Very
to get
quick.
caught up in that. And when you look at the better benefit for the good, whether it's in your company, whether it's in the project you're working on, whether it's in your personal relationship, or whether it's for something you're trying to accomplish, all of a sudden it gets a little simple. And you start to see what you should do, and you don't have to think as hard about it. But removing that ego is, I think, one of the more important things.
Tremaine?
Same thing, man. The ego, humility, remaining humble. 'Cause again, you can get lost in this whole thing in the entertainment industry. So that's my biggest thing. No matter who you work with, how big they are, you're not them. Remain yourself, and that's why, like, people keep calling me to work, because I don't have an ego. They know they can call me to work on a big gig, and I'm not gonna come in with a big head and Mr. Know-It-All and think I can do everything.
So, in your experience, have any of the three of you guys had experiences where maybe early in your career, where you hadn't quite figured out yourself, hadn't quite figured out kind of what your core values are, where not kind of having that self-awareness maybe caused you to trip up a little bit or cause issues? Or if you haven't had the experience, have you seen that with other individuals? Maybe some specific examples that we can laugh at?
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a second.
Okay. I stumped you guys.
Yes, you did.
I did.
I am infallible. I'm kidding. I've definitely the learning as much as I can. That came after the Air Force, because I had a moment where I had some ego issues, and it got in the way of the project and was slowing people down. People didn't like working with me, and that was why I added that one to the roster. Like, I guess in a way it is humility, but I never thought of it that way. I thought of it as, like, just there's more to learn.
So remaining teachable.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you guys? Have you thought of?
I've always struggled with self-confidence, and I think that's something that I've had to work on constantly, and that's something that's certainly not easy to do, because you have to have confidence in a lot of the work that you do to be able to put forward the best work possible. So that it's something I continually try to keep in mind and remind myself and learn from others and learn from those they're doing other things. But collaboration is what keeps me alive. I can't, especially in this industry, you really can't do it all yourself. You've got to work with others, and you've got to be open-minded to accept new ideas and try things that are different, even though you may not want to, and trust yourself a little bit.
Well, I have a story of someone else
Hey.
I observed, and their ego got in the way, and they were older. They've been in the industry for a while. And they got to this point where they felt like they knew everything and they couldn't learn anything else. And I was like, if you ever reach that point, you need to quit.
Yeah.
Like, technology progresses, there's always something to learn. And he reached this wall of, like, I know everything, I don't want to hear anything from you younger guys. You can't tell me anything I don't already know. There's nothing new under the sun, blah, blah. Homie was like a big deal, and homie got fired. And now he's sitting at home trying to figure things out from scratch, and nobody wants to help him because
Right.
every time we reached out to help him, be like, hey, man, you might want to chill out. Like, he just shot us down and would talk crazy to us. And now he's sitting at his house trying to figure out what he's going to do with the rest of his time.
Oh, that's sad.
Too bad
That's
for him.
sad. All right, so let's back up for a minute. And when we say the term core values, what do you guys think of as kind of the definition of core values? Like, 'cause I think all of us could talk about core values and maybe talk about them slightly differently. So how do you define it? And how did you find your core values for yourself? Like from a practical point of view, because we can say, oh, I'm always working on myself, but what does that mean for you? What does that look like to you? Is it meditation? Is it journaling? Is it talking with others? What is the process that you guys use to help find those core values, whatever they might mean?
Mine really is a balance between meditation, whether it's walking, exercise moments with 2 kids and a dog and a career. Like, there's not many private moments. You find them and you hold on to them. And meditation has been helpful to carve out that time, to prioritize that. But I also find that I'm really inspired and enlightened by talking to people. So I had to remind myself and plan ahead for that time, because it's quick to escape. You've got 1,000 things to do. You've got projects to finish, but you have to prioritize checking in with yourself and prioritize that. So whether it's talking to specific people every so often or meditation, I rarely get to it daily, but I try to get to it weekly. And between that balance, that's something I'm still trying to refine. That's where I get to check in. And for me, core values is, what's your reality check? How do you check in with yourself and make sure that you're continuing to stay on your path?
Yeah, so for me, it's a guiding principle. I'm using this thing to give me some direction so that I don't feel lost, like you had mentioned. And so it's just something that, like, I'm going to internally hold near and dear, and I want to focus on these things, this small group of things.
Almost like a personal mission statement.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, so that's what it is for me. That's what a core value is. It's a guiding principle. It's a thing that you can look to for, like, man, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. Like right now I've got 7 projects on my plate, but these have helped keep me grounded and helped keep me kind of in the trenches and not lose my mind.
And you were really specific with saying, I have 4. How did you find those 4? Like, what was the process that you went through to boil those down?
So the first 3, integrity, service, and excellence, I got those from the Air Force. Those are the Air Force core values. And, like my captain said, I didn't pick those. They got picked for me because I hadn't done that yet. And then the other one I found when I took the time to do some soul searching and find, like, what was getting me motivated, what kept me stimulated and engaged in projects or in life. And I'm just a huge nerd that loves to learn, and so I've taken that to the nth degree, where, like, I can learn from everybody, I can learn from anything. Like, everything is a learning opportunity, and to really hone in on that and try to focus on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's like my personal mission statement, but and when I lose track of it, I don't meditate or anything. I have 1 or 2 mentors and my manager, and I have talks with them, and they kind of realign me if they see me getting off track, or they can tell things are a little fuzzy, and they'll remind me of my path and my focus.
And so I know how important mentors can be, especially when it comes to kind of keeping us in that reality check. How did you find these mentors that you use to help you keep in check?
I didn't find them. Like, they kind of found me, like we found ourselves. I was working at a record label, and my boss at the time, she was awesome. She ended up leaving. She eventually became my manager. I looked to her as a mentor as well, and then my other mentor, I met him. I was working at a studio. He was already there. He was an older guy. And first day in, he was like, "You're new." But he was like, But again, the humbleness and everything, and it was a huge deal of me working there, and I was just happy to be there. And he was like, he could tell like I didn't come in with an ego or anything. Like I'm the new guy, I'm about to take over. He was like, I kind of like your vibe. Here's my number. Hit me up if you need anything. And it grew into this relationship. So it's like I didn't go out and seek it. Kind of just presented itself, and I took advantage of it.
Nice. So, Aaron, I know that you've mentioned the military a couple of times. Do you have any other mentors from outside of the military?
Yeah, actually, so one of my course directors from Full Sail, I'll still reach out to actually a couple of them pretty regularly and be, hey, how should I work on this? What would you advise? And I'm fortunate enough that I have a great working relationship with my current boss, and I'm starting to learn that I can lean on him for guidance, and he's been really helpful. But yeah, most of my like mentors or whatever from the Air Force, I haven't been able to keep in touch with them. So it's mostly come down to coworkers, and I have a friend who he's an amazing musician, and I'll just sit down with him periodically and be like, hey, I've got this opportunity, but it doesn't seem right. Like, what do you think? Right. And I'll, because he's super removed from the situation, and it's great to be able to sit down and have that talk with him, because I get this really like outside perspective that's really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Sheena, do you have any mentors that you really use?
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that. I kind of keep two as well. I keep one that's very distant from my life, and we met at summer camp when we were 15, and we've never lived in the same place. We've never had the same friends, so it was really easy to trust him. Like he wasn't going to go and tell somebody if I told him a secret. So, and he's off in Australia for the last several years, so he's we're really far apart.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing to get that perspective from him on certain things. And then my career mentor I met her through volunteering. When I first moved to Orlando, I didn't know anyone. I was here at Full Sail. I was like, how do I find my way? And I started volunteering for Women in Film and Television, Florida. And the president of the chapter at the time, who was also the Orlando Film Commissioner at the time, we just hit it off. It was one of those things that it clicked. It made sense. And she's now one of my best friends, and she still continues to be my mentor. And it's incredible to have somebody that you can lean on, that you can just, even if it's a text, you quick check. Am I on the right path, or call me crazy? Let me know. Be totally honest. And it's important for people to call you out.
Oh yeah.
and to take it and be like, I put you in that position. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to trust your judgment on that one.
Wonderful. Okay, so talking about still looking at kind of other people, can you think of someone who's in your life right now or that you admire from afar, and just kind of talk about who are they and what are kind of the core values that you see they possess that you really respect? Aaron's giggling, so the answer is yes.
Yeah, so really close friend. He actually helped me get the job that I have now. His whole thing, he's just got the one, and it's nothing is ever fucked. Nothing's ever totally fucked, and that's his thing. Is just you can. Nothing's ever so far gone that you can't fix it or remedy it. And he manages to be just the coolest, calmest person I've ever met because of that mentality and that guiding
just
force.
That optimism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
gonna say resourcefulness.
Well, I wouldn't say that I don't know that it's necessarily optimism, but it's just that I think for him he views it as realism. No, sure this sucks right now, but you can fix it, or there's a way out of this. Nothing is permanent. Everything ends at some point. So
I think that's so important to remember, is that nothing is permanent. Everything can change. And so it makes big leaps sometimes a little bit easier when you keep that in mind. That was my mentor really kept that in check for me. I watched her navigate really difficult situations, and she did it incredibly gracefully. And I know it wasn't easy, but watching her and seeing her go through things was really impressive to
just her
to
fluidity.
Watch. Yeah, and one of the biggest things that I got from her was, you don't have all the answers, and it's okay. But if you're the best at figuring it out and knowing, like, okay, if I call this person and this person and this person, I'm eventually going to get to the answer, and being resourceful is one of the best tools you can ever have. That's invaluable that she gave me that. And now I'm not fearful that I don't know the answer right away, because I know I can figure something out and get it.
Tremaine?
I didn't think anybody off the top of my head.
Like everybody I know, I got no respect for.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like everybody that's in my circle at this point, like absolutely every single person, because I've cut the fat. So I'm like, if you're not helping me or you're not helping me grow or we're not helping each other grow, I don't want you around.
So how do you determine that in that situation? Like if you have someone who's in your life and you're trying to decide, do I keep them around? Do I cut them out? How do you decide who's toxic and who's not?
You just realize that over time. It's not like a 1 second decision. It's
Aaron's
you'll see
excited.
The progress, and you'll see like some people, like you just outgrow them and you're just like, well, I'm not there anymore, man. I was there like 10 years ago. You're still there.
And how do you find, because I know there's some people who like to hang on to toxic people a little bit longer than they need to. How have you found kind of that strength to Sheena's like, me. How have you found that kind of inner strength to say, hey, look, this is not what's good for me. You are not what's good for me. I have to cut that out. How do you keep that boundary? How do you build that wall?
Well, I'm like 2% jerk. So,
No.
like, I can cut people off. Like, I don't know why I'm good at it, but I can cut people off and be like, I don't want anything to do with you. And then it starts with, like, social media first, so you don't have to see them every day involuntarily scrolling. Like, get rid of that, and then eventually less texting, less whatever, and it'll go away. Or you just go cold turkey and be like, I'm not doing this.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Aaron, I know you wanted to add something to this
yeah,
conversation.
because you were like, how do you spot those people that are toxic? And the thing that jumps out at me the fastest to like, I don't want to associate with this person, are the people that are like trying to start gossip, trying to get you to talk ill of another person.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it happens so frequently, and it is one of the things that annoys me the most, where I'm just like, no, like I'm not going to speak ill of somebody else, especially because like you don't even know them. What good is that going to do you? But yeah, and then go on cold turkey is, I just ignore texts, and if they ask what's up and like why I'm not responding, I'll be like, because you're kind of a shitty person.
That's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know Julie Cameron in her book, The Artist's Way, she really talks about kind of finding your, she calls them your crazy makers, the people that are toxic in your life, because when they're around, they can affect your artistry, they can affect your work.
Yeah.
So how about you, Sheena? Because you were like, I have trouble.
I'm working on it. I'm a fixer. So therefore,
So you wanna fix the
attract
people.
them. And in the last several years, I've prioritized myself because there's only so much room. There's only so much time. And when you spend all of your time trying to fix someone else and they're just draining you, you don't have anything left for yourself. So it was, I think, it's just age. Getting older, and less time, you're like, wow, no, I'm not dealing with this. I used to take the time for it, and I got better things to do, and really positive people that aren't getting my attention that need it, you know, and you just shift that focus over. And I'm gonna try and take on some of what you do. I'm very polite, and I back up slowly, but
I'm
you know, like I'm just gonna
I don't know if
jump
you
on
guys
that
want to pick
train.
up on that.
I'm gonna pick up on that a little bit more.
Yeah,
We'll
there's a famous internet meme that has Helen Mirren, and whether or not she's actually said this line or not, I don't know, but she says the one thing I wish I had learned when I was younger is to tell people to F off.
Yes.
But she uses the full word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
I
away.
can say
You
it if
say
you
it.
would
You
like.
go ahead and say it. Yeah, there you go. Go ahead. I'm on camera and I work here, so I'm not going to. Absolutely. Okay. So we don't have a whole lot of time left. So what I'd like to do is kind of just shift gears and ask you guys: do you have any kind of recommendations for our students that are going to be going out? They're going to be starting their careers, who may not have a lot of experience with self-reflection, with finding their own core values. What do you recommend to them in terms of how they can work on themselves, what they can do to make themselves a little bit more hireable, to put it in the right way? Because someone walks in with an ego, you don't want to hire them if they walk in and say, I'm going to change the whole place because I'm brand new. So what do you guys recommend just in terms of how they can work on themselves?
I'll say the biggest thing, especially for me, I've noticed self-reflection in any kind of situation you get in. Stop before you get angry at the other person. Be like, did I do this to myself? And like, what? And try to see why are they upset.
Yeah, take care of your side of the street,
and
basically.
say, okay, well, they're mad at me for a legit reason. That was my bad. Now, if you can't figure it out, it might be them. But that's solved a lot of problems. Humbling yourself and coming to the situation like, okay, that's me. I effed up. I apologize, and they'll respect you for it.
Yeah.
And your friendship or whatever it is will go to another level because now they're like, okay, this isn't just a jerk that's gonna argue with me and not say when they're wrong.
Right.
So self-reflection, man, is huge. And if you're going to a bunch of places and not getting hired, step back and be like, maybe I need to check my resume and compare it to all the people that are getting hired. Like, what's going on here? Look at yourself first and make sure it's not you, because a lot of people don't want to do that. They just want to blame the world.
Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I for my team, I always look for people who are team focused. I don't care if you're going to get excited about working on a particular project. I want somebody who's going to focus on, like, I want to work with a team, as a team, and collaborate, and not, be in it for glory or anything like that, because one person can't make a game.
Now, if
I mean,
there's a student who's having an experience where every time they get in a team project, they wind up doing all the work, or they just don't feel like a part of that team, how can they foster that team mindset if they're not in a perfect place to develop teams?
Yeah, so to the people doing all the work, kudos. That just makes you more hireable, and your colleagues that aren't pulling their weight, less hireable. They'll weed themselves out. But if you're, for whatever reason, there's no team chemistry, there's something missing, I'd encourage some kind of outing. Sit down and do like a one-shot D&D campaign, or do something as a group, or play a video game together. Like, do something as a team that you can just, like, it's not work focused, it's not any of that. Just because once you get to know other people as people, you're gonna stop resenting them, and things will just flow a lot smoother.
I think that change of environment thing is really important. Sometimes you get stuck, you're having the same conversations in the same space. Like, try a different space.
Yeah.
Have a conversation somewhere else, and it can change your relationship with people.
So any other recommendations you have?
Yeah, two things. You gotta listen. Like, shut up. Shut up.
Real.
Shut up and listen and embrace pauses. It's okay. And somebody taught me that a long time ago. And part of my job, we're doing fam tours and we're touring locations. And so I've got directors and producers and scouts in my car. And you think you gotta fill the time, talk. No, you gotta stop. Pause. It's cool. You gotta think. You gotta, reflect on everything that's going on and not fill all those gaps. So listening is such an important skill, and that's one I continually try to get better at. But the other thing is embrace the awkward. Like, networking is not easy. And you have to do it your whole life. Oh yeah, sure. It can be awkward, but just because it's awkward doesn't mean it's bad. And so sometimes you just got to suck it up, deal with the awkward, and something beautiful can come out of it, or it's just weird, and you move on, go to the next one, right? But between listening and embracing the awkward, those are
And you never know when those awkward people can wind up offering you a job later on as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I've had that happen, or like the drunk guy at the party that you're like,
Oh, wow.
winds up being somebody worth knowing later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be careful who you cut off in cars, and you don't know. You don't know.
They can be a little weird. All right, well, any final thoughts that you guys want to throw out there before we wrap it up?
Hope y'all paid attention to all of this.
Take the notes.
So serious. That's all I got. Pay attention.
It's definitely important, and I think one of the things that this school does so well is that we do have that professionalism grade that encourages people to think about the core values, to think about the soft skills as well as kind of the technical knowledge.
Yeah, I think a big thing, maybe it's an age thing, write it down. Write stuff down, and I put on my calendar a weekly reflection. It's 30 minutes, and go through everything I wrote down for the week, and almost always there's something I forgot. And I'm like, yeah, okay, got it. And then I don't fall behind on things, but write it down, because, man, when it gets busy, you just start to forget stuff.
Oh, it's funny you say that. So I have an alert that goes off on my phone every day at lunch, and all it says is, what could you be doing better? And it usually reminds me of like, oh, you know what, man, I'm kind of being a jerk today. Like, I should chill out. Or I'm not giving this an honest effort. I should really work harder at this thing.
I'm stealing that.
Yeah.
I think I might
super
too.
useful.
Cool.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, you just inspired everybody. Everybody's like, ooh, where's my phone? I'm going to put that in now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Any last minute things, Jermaine? Are you good?
Pay attention.
Just pay attention.
Just pay attention.
Wake up. Have your coffee.
There's some gems
All
up
right.
here.
Well, if you could please help me give a round of applause for our wonderful speakers, Tremaine Williams, All right. So thank you so much for attending our session today, and we especially want to thank our guests for their knowledge and valuable experience. So thank you guys so much, and have a great day.
Fun. Thank you.
Take that.
We got a 3 o'clock, so if you guys are ready for our next session, line up.